Hey everyone, welcome to Conversations with Azu, the Vitality and More podcast. I'm so happy to be sharing this time together with you all. I'm the founder of Vitality and More and author of Follow Your Heart, Live, Eat, Be. This podcast is about connecting real conversations around wholeness and wellness. I share my wisdom around topics that will inspire you to make an inward journey, be curious, follow your heart to purposeful living, and find abundance within. Just a quick mention before we begin, as always, this podcast does not in any way offer medical or professional health advice, as I am not trained in either of these areas. What this podcast does do, however, is offer a platform where we can have conversations to help guide us to becoming more whole, live a life of abundance, health, and happiness. My purpose is to create healthy, practical, and authentic conversations here so that you too can find alignment with life and know your why. Thanks for joining the conversation today. Now, let's get started with this week's episode on the topic of small talk versus real talk, episode 10. Let's dive into the conversation of small talk versus real talk and why it's a topic of conversation this week. Well, you see, for me personally, I must confess, I'm not very good at small talk and I crumble socially when it comes to small talk. What I do thrive on is real talk, real conversations, uplifting conversations about life, health, wellness, fun, nature, traveling, food, friends, family, and anything that brings me joy and uplifts my spirit. Can you relate? Small talk is an informal discussion that we have when perhaps we meet new people at a social gathering or occasions. It's really about making conversation about things that are, well, unimportant, unpolitical, and not of a personal nature. People usually like to talk about certain things, what's going on in the world, celebrities perhaps, other people, and maybe sometimes even gossip about people they know. But I'm asking why. I feel challenged by the notion of small talk. I feel challenged by not expressing what I'm feeling, who I'm with. I don't like to gossip. I like real talk. Apparently, the whole essence of small talk is to build up commonality or maintain a sense of solidarity with others. But why can't we do that by having real talk? Real talk that lifts each other up, real talk that raises our vibrations further, real talk that is loving, real talk that brings about connection, compassion, and kindness. Some of the things that I try and do when I'm in a social situation that requires small talk is to become a better listener, become more social, ask questions that are relevant to the discussions at hand, use body language that is engaging, and try to be present with the conversation. My own self-discovery journey continues to teach me to nurture myself in every social setting I'm in, to have clear boundaries, to be more present, to be more of who I am, and to express that fully with love. I am all about real and authentic conversations, if you know me in real life. I'm not a small talking kind of person, but I do my best to adapt. I guess because I feel that small talk is not emotionally or intellectually stimulating for me, that I kind of drift away and feel like, well, I don't belong. Does anyone else feel that way? Can anyone else relate to what I'm saying here, or is it just me? And I'm not one for one moment dismissing the place of small talk, but why not make it real talk? Have small conversations with real meaning, with depth, with connection, with truth, with expansion. I know that I'm happier when I'm surrounded by friends and family or others and can have the real talk without the need for small talk. Real talk and deep conversations really allows us to have deeper connections, expansive discussions that can in turn help build relationships, help each other grow, heal, solve problems or challenges, and find commonality. Small talk is superficial and doesn't really go into deep and meaningful conversations. It starts and ends there. Sometimes I feel as though small talk is a waste of my energy. And don't get me wrong, as I crave deeper connections and conversations, but I know it's not always possible depending on the social setting. For me, small talk is soul sucking. It doesn't nourish me. It doesn't help me grow or expand. And so I do find myself avoiding it where possible. How do you make small talk more meaningful? How do you make small talk more engaging? I've always been a talker, as you can tell with this podcast. I realized something recently about the conversations I'm having here on my podcast. They're all about real talk, deep conversations, expansive conversations, the ones that some or perhaps most can't associate with and don't want to engage in or can't relate with. This has made me reconsider some topics of discussion for season 2 in 2025. Tell me, do I need to make my conversations more about small talk and things that people relate to so that the podcast has a wider reach? Or do I stay authentic and true to myself and my work and slowly attract the right listeners? I'd love to know your thoughts about this. You see, for me, it's about navigating the difference between small talk and deep conversations and what people really want to tune into. Maybe the narrative needs a little shift. Maybe we should call it real talk instead of small talk. Now, there's an idea. Who decided that it's small talk? Small talk has small connotations to it. The word small says it all. Why can't it be real talk? Big talk, deep talk, expansive talking. Let's make this transition together. Let's have conversations with people about the topic of small talk. Isn't it interesting when it's put like this? Let's share experiences, discussions, interactions, conversations with more depth, more meaning, more relevance, more expansion, more light, more love, more kindness, more compassion, more everything. Why not? I invite you to help people feel comfortable and connected when having these conversations. I invite you to help me bring about change and make the old small talk a gateway for deeper conversations and real talk. You see, the truth is this. The more we engage in deeper conversations, real talk, the more enjoyable the discussions. There's more commonality, more trust, and a greater shift towards well-being. So let's shift the mindset or belief that small talk is superficial chatter and an utter waste of time and move it into the belief that it can foster heart-centered conversations and build greater connections and overall bring about happiness to those engaged in the conversation. I dare you to give it a try. This is how I have come to understand that small talk does have a place and can easily be tweaked into real talk. It's about belief systems. It's about being able to have awareness and change the mindset that small talk is a waste of time. It's what you bring to the conversation. It's about who you are. It's about standing in your truth and, well, sharing that. Don't be afraid to stand in your truth and have the small talk that will lift everyone around you. Don't be afraid to change the narrative and see small talk through a different lens. The moment I did this was the moment I broke free from the idea or belief that small talk was draining me, was not raising my vibration. The choice is ours. How we engage in the small talk and who we engage with. We choose what the conversation is. And so, why don't you choose positive, real talk that brings new light into the space? When we master small talk as real talk, we can build greater connections and conversations. Understand one thing from today's conversation. The real benefits of meaningful conversations can and will always lead to better relationships, friendships, and improved social interactions. So I invite you to open your mind and lean into small talk with love. Be present when you are engaging in small talk. Be you and shine your light. Remember that life ought to be about freedom and happiness. It's about the freedom to be you, to be whole, to be aligned, and to be a limitless being in all that you are and all that you do. Be truthful and connect to your needs, your emotions, your desires, and see where you are not free, where you need to do the work. I had to do the work to shift my beliefs around the notion of small talk and turned it into real talk. Where do you need to do the work? What limiting beliefs systems are you holding on to? What is the narrative that you need to shift or clear? If you feel like you may need some guidance with whatever is holding you back, then do get in touch and see how our intuitive life coaching program can help guide you. It's always about having the courage to do something different, to express yourself fully, to change the narrative, to have greater awareness and deeper presence. Swap the words real talk for small talk and see where it can guide you. See how you engage differently in social interactions. When we can learn the principles and techniques of real talk for small talk, then we can develop stronger connections and build better rapport with others. Continue to have your chit chats with whomever, but do them with more intention, focus, energy, connection, wholeness, and see where it takes you. Dare to be different and show others how to do it. As spoken about in other episodes, when we are fully connected to our own energy and we are whole, we are flowing, we are grounded, we love ourselves, we are in alignment and have a certain frequency, a vibration that, shines through us and inspires others to shine more too. Allow your frequency to bloom through your small, real talk. Let's conclude today with the knowing that how you choose to flow in conversations, small talk, real talk, no talk, is entirely up to you. But lean into how you feel when you are engaged in these light conversations. Every step you take emotionally and energetically to standing in your truth when you're with others in social situations should have a ripple effect. We are all light and luminous beings, and so we must continue to do everything in our power to nourish this light fully, wholly, and with love. I invite you to change the notion of small talk to real talk. I invite you to move into greater flow and be more trusting of your own wisdom and presence. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on small talk, and if you're keen to change the narrative as I've suggested. Please leave me a comment, rate or review this show, and let's keep this conversation growing. And if you love what you heard today, please do subscribe or share with your friends and family and let the conversation expand. Thank you for tuning in today, for trusting me. I'm so grateful knowing that you are listening and you are doing the work for your well-being, wholeness and expansion. Details for our intuitive life and business coaching services are in the show notes or via the Learn More button on Instagram. Please do get in touch and we can set up a free discovery call to see where you may be stuck or not free. Namaste, beautiful friends, sending love, blessings, and vitality and more your way. Until next time, stay happy and enjoy the real talk.